Okay, so in part one, we talked about what it means to have the big ideas of a content area, and how focusing on big ideas helps us create learning that's more meaningful, that will transfer to other contexts, and really it's overall more engaging. That doesn't mean we neglect the other standards, but we fit the standards within the big ideas. So now we're going to talk about emerging technologies. And emerging technologies are new technologies that are coming out. They're not widely available yet, especially for schools. They might be very expensive right now, but they're in development. And over time, the price is going to go down. And you might want to start using it in schools or other educational contexts later. So it's important that when we're talking about this, we're thinking not just how can the emerging technologies help with basic like memory tasks, because we want to create deeper learning than just memorizing or transmitting information. We want to think about how they can support learning the big ideas in the content area, the disciplinary thinking and themes that students are going to carry with them for the rest of their lives. All right. So the first area of emerging technology we're going to talk about is artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence is when the computer systems can perform tasks that normally require human intelligence: visual perception, speech recognition, decision making, and translation. So these are tasks that traditionally digital technologies have really struggled to do, because you think of all you have to do to be able to see something and recognize what something is. It's actually very complex. Humans can do it pretty easily, but machines have a hard time doing it. Artificial intelligence is machines figuring out or being programmed and learning to do that. So a key part of this is machine learning. And machine learning is just when an algorithm works to improve something automatically. So you might recognize these CAPTCHAs. So now we're more common to just have these. Sometimes we still have these. And you might remember the days, and maybe they still use these, where you have to actually do this. Now, normally, or at least originally when this came out, it was a little bit of a trick, because you would do this and they would also ask you to do this, because you were giving answers that the computer was learning how to recognize what was true, what was a human and what wasn't a human. You were actually giving data to the program so it could improve itself. There's question about the ethics of that, but that's how machine learning works. The more data you give it, the better it becomes of making decisions such as, are you a human or are you not a human? So that's artificial intelligence. XR is extended reality, and that can include virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. It's kind of a spectrum where mixed reality is really in between virtual reality and augmented reality. So augmented reality is like Pokemon Go, where you have an overlay, usually with some type of camera, where you're just adding to the real world with some digital image or something like that. That's augmented reality. Mixed reality is when you're mixing the physical and the digital world. And again, it's a spectrum, but in some ways you're interacting with digital objects from within a physical world. So whereas in augmented reality, you usually can't interact with the things too much, in mixed reality, there's usually a little more interaction. And then virtual reality is when you put on your headset and you go into this actual new world. Okay. The final area we're going to talk about is Internet of Things. And that's just a phrase to describe how we have all these different tools that are all connected to the web. So it's not just our computers and our laptops and even our phones, because those are pretty normal to be connected to the web. But now we have our fire alarms, we have our Fitbits, our headphones, our door locks and doorbells. Those are all things that become connected to the internet so they can take advantage of the affordances of online tools. Okay, so current educational uses of these, and this is just a couple ideas. There's a lot more than this you could research. Artificial intelligence. So this is Perusall, And Perusal actually has auto grading where they evaluate how high quality your comments are. And I've started using this more. I don't fully trust it. I always look at it and try to make sure that I agree with the grade it gives you. But that's a way artificial intelligence is starting to work in education. Another example are these lockdown browsers, which are very questionable to me. I really don't like lockdown browsers, but they think they can tell whether or not you're cheating on a test. Anyway. Another thing I don't have on here are programs that adjust based off of student answers. They learn how to give the best examples to specific students using algorithms, and that's a type of artificial intelligence. Extended reality, we have this augmented reality where you can take a book and you can make it 3D and kind of look at it a little bit differently. This Curiscope company, so they have a lot of augmented reality, and they also have some things that are a little more mixed reality, but for this one, the student wears a t-shirt and you can hold up the phone and see what would be inside the student in their anatomy. Another popular one in VR is just exploring new places, going on virtual field trips, going inside the human body and seeing what that looks like around you. It allows you to go into a new environment. Internet of Things, smart boards, Internet of Things, 3D printers, because they're connected to the internet. That's a tool that students can use to create all kinds of things. They can invent things, but you can also make 3D models of different landmarks, different shapes, and things like this. This is called a Sphero, and Spheros are pretty cool. They're just little robots you can program, but they have lights, and they can have sound, and you can actually create stories. I'll put a link on the side or somewhere about, you can go see how students have created stories using the Sphero robots. So it combines the language arts with the STEM subjects. All right, so main takeaways from today. The first is, if we start with the big areas of content area, we can support designing for engaging and effective learning. And emerging technologies have the potential to add new tools that can support learning in those content areas. So I have a special challenge for you this week on your discussion board, where you're actually going to start thinking about your big ideas in your content area and imagining what kind of new technologies might support that. You don't have to use the existing emerging technologies. You can go however you want, but what kind of tools might help support the big ideas in your content area? All right, so I'm looking forward to seeing your responses on that.